A view of ammunition bunkers is seen during a community and city employee tour of the Concord Naval Weapons Station in Concord on May 23, 2018. The U.S. Navy could house up to 47,000 immigrants at the base, according to reports. Jane Tyska, Bay Area News Group Archives, Concord. The reported Navy proposal to house up to 47,000 immigrants at the former Concord Naval Weapons Station could scuttle the city's nearly finalized development plans, and the contaminated land is not suitable for habitation, the mayor wrote to the Navy Secretary Monday in a letter obtained by the Bay Area News Group. The city anticipated the first transfers of land from the 12,800-acre former base in the next few months, Mayor Eddie Burson wrote in his letter to Secretary of the Navy Richard Spencer, after 12 long years of negotiations and the selection of a master developer. To now withdraw from that process and shift to a transfer enabling a detention center would negate all those honorable efforts and reflect poorly on future negotiations here and elsewhere for the Navy, Burson wrote. Ad choice advertising and red invented by Tees. In addition, the mayor expressed health concerns for people potentially living on certain contaminated sections of the base. Significant acreage within the CNWS is still undergoing assessment and cleanup of Navy contamination and is not suitable for transfer nor human occupation, Burson wrote. The city is so concerned that a special meeting to discuss the Navy's proposal has been scheduled Wednesday at 1 p.m. in the Concord City Council chambers. The emergency meeting will include community input, coordination with other elected officials, and possible formulation and implementation of council response and city action plan, according to the city announcement. The council is holding its regularly scheduled meeting Tuesday at 6 p.m. However, this issue is not on the agenda, so the council cannot speak on it. View this document on Scribd. Late last week, Time magazine reported that it obtained a draft memo that included the locations of bases across the country, including the East Bay facility in Camp Pendleton in Southern California, where the Navy has proposed holding immigrant detainees in large tent cities. Concord and East Bay officials were caught off guard by the report and quickly expressed reservations. Navy officials did not immediately reply Tuesday to requests for comment. Last week, the Department of Defense said it was conducting prudent planning should the Department of Homeland Security ask for help in housing adult illegal immigrants. In a Facebook Live town hall, U.S. Rep. Mark DeSaulnier, D. Concord, said local and federal officials don't have a lot of specifics on plans for a detention camp, but he's asked the Department of Defense and the Trump administration for further details. DeSaulnier, joined by the other Bay Area congressional representatives, sent a separate letter asking for the release of the Navy's draft memo. In a separate letter to the Navy Secretary, DeSaulnier said the lack of infrastructure on the shuttered base would make a detention camp unsuitable. The logistics of trying to do this in an urban area, can you imagine adding 50,000 people in an urban area without the infrastructure, he said in the Facebook Live town hall. There's not a lot of usable, flat areas where you'd stage a facility for 50,000 people. In the live video, DeSaulnier blasted the Trump administration for what he called its immoral, unethical and politically driven policy to prosecute families at the border, saying it's a scare tactic aimed at dividing Americans. The policy is deliberately set up for the election in November, in my view, he said. It's for President Trump to drive people apart. In his letter to Spencer, DeSaulnier called for the Navy to abandon the proposal. DeSaulnier wrote that the Navy has been cleaning up the base since 1983, but it is still contaminated. He pointed at Hunters Point Naval Shipyard where land was deemed safe to occupy, but now under question. View this document on Scribd. Forcing anybody to live on this land right now is more than dangerous, it is immoral, DeSaulnier wrote. given the preponderance of reasons why creating tent cities not only at Concord Naval Weapons Station, but also any other site in the country, is an unsafe and irresponsible blueprint. Desaulniers wrote, "I ask that you immediately abandon this proposal and return to a more compassionate model that treats those fleeing unspeakable violence and unsafe conditions with the respect they deserve." Person said the base is near residential communities, as well as the active military ocean terminal Concord. The NWS is neither rural nor remote, rather it is directly adjacent to existing Concord neighborhoods and the largest active Army ammunition and explosives depot at MOTCO on the West Coast, the mayor wrote. In his letter, Person asks the Navy to send a representative to a Concord Council meeting to provide information about its plans. He also reminded the Secretary of Concord's immigrant history as the city plans to celebrate its 150th anniversary on July 4. After a nearby town was completely destroyed in the Hayward Fault earthquake, Don Salvio Pacheco and his Mexican-American family initiated plans for a future city and gave away their land for $1 to the survivors and refugees of the destroyed town to create Concord. The residents chose the name with a mission to live in concordance with one another, Person wrote. 80 Quality Auto 360p 720p 1080p. You might also like top 10 highest paying jobs in Singapore in 2018 jobs. NewThingsToday.com. Get expedited immigrations clearance, limousine, HSBC Bank. This $89 Magic Air Cooler is the most incredible. HandyTechGadgets.com. Stand a chance to win up to $500 rebate with your HSBC Bank. 1 o'clock. Toshiba uses technology to build a better world. Toshiba Apex sentence in campus sex case blasted, the judge think. MercuryNews.com. Howard Stern character died of heroin overdose, TMZ. MercuryNews.com. Mariah Carey exposed herself to me, ex-security guard. MercuryNews.com. Recommended by